This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
With that. Okay, so as you said, we get in there, we present the letter to the Southwest counter. You know, I can't tell from, I don't know if you could tell, but I was pretty, anxious at the moment. And we were able to get first in line and be able to go speak with the pilots. So we're speaking with the pilots, introduced, we get our seats, plane's done boarding, I get back up and I start talking to the pilots. It's like, okay, and I'm carrying on a conversation with them. And
You're laughing, you're joking.
I'm laughing, I'm joking. I'm on the plane. The pilots they're great pilots, great people. I mean, friendly and informative. And then there's the other pilot, the co-pilot comes up and come to find out he was a pilot on an aircraft carrier. And I'm asking questions on how they land and how they do this. And suddenly I wasn't on the plane anymore. Take it.
Well, we did get a chance to sit the second row back, and we were sitting there, and like you said, you were up by the cockpit talking to the pilots. I think a flight attendant was there also. And from where I was sitting, it sounded like, okay, things are lightening up. And my experience in the past is when you get to humor, when you get to being a little more lighthearted, you're able to do things. It's like the tension is going away. So with that, the message I was getting is you're going to be able to make it on the plane. And then my assumption was they got to a point where they had to close the door, and you walked back and you shook your head. No, you grabbed your bag and gave me a kiss, and you walked off the plane.
And there was no emotion to that. There was just, it was like I made a decision I could not talk myself out of. It was, as I'm standing up there talking to the pilots, they're telling me, do not step off the plane, you have to be escorted back on. So I was really conscious of the fact that if I got off that plane, I could not get back on. But that thought fled. And as soon as the co-pilot got up and started talking, basically giving us a signal, it's like, okay, it's time to go. I was like, I can't do, and it wasn't a, I can't do this, it was, I can't do this. It was a very, almost deliberate, but out of my control. It didn't make sense to me.
Right, to me it wasn't the same as what's happened in the past, where what I observed before was you got your anxiety built up to a point where you were tense and you just said no. This was very different in the aspect, you just very calmly walked back, you shook your head, and then you walked out.
Almost like I was possessed.
And in that aspect, and you said you saw disappointment in my face.
I didn't say, I said I saw the look on your face.
Huh?
I said I saw the look on your face.
The look on my face.
But it didn't register.
I thought you said disappointment later. But everything that I was seeing and observing was showing signs of, you're going to be able to do this. And then for you to walk back and say, no, you can't, I was in shock. It just floored me.
I understand. I grabbed my stuff, walked off the aircraft, they told me to go tell the person at the counter. I went and told the person at the counter. I went and stood by the window. The plane had already pulled away, and my heart broke. I had the gravity and the reality of what I had just done. Sorry, it's still pretty intense. Was so heavy and so hard at that moment. It's like, what the heck? I was angry, heartbroken, sad, just broken all at the same time. and knowing that you were still on that plane. Yeah, sorry. It was rough. So I knew I couldn't get back on that plane. There was other options maybe. So I watched the plane leave. And as it was leaving, my heart went with it. It was just a lot of reality happened at that moment. I realized how much you meant to me. I realized how much our relationship meant to me. I realized I've allowed anxiety to rule my life way too much. And although I had been trying, didn't give it as much as I could have. And I was ill prepared. I don't know what you were thinking, but at that moment is when I realized, I saw the look on your face. Like I said, I felt the gravity of what I did. And know that I was right. This was going to be a life-changing event, and it could have been the end of our relationship. I didn't know, and there was no way to get a hold of you for another 2 hours, minimum. So let me ask you this. What did you feel as... I just need a minute to kind of regroup. So if you could kind of discuss what
I'm going to say is probably going to be very not very long, because the part that I felt, I think I was still in shock. Even after we took off, I think I felt a little numb in the aspect of not knowing what to expect once I got to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And didn't know how, I was trying to fathom what you were going through, how you felt, and just had no idea, for 2 hours.
Yeah,
So.
it was a very long 2 hours.
Yeah.
So just from my perspective, I had time to take action. I had time to do things before you landed. And one of the things I did is after I got the car, I went out to there's a park just outside the airport. I went and sat in there and I called the airlines. And I'm like, okay, I didn't get on my flight. What's the next flight out? What's it going to take? And I was determined I have to get on this next plane. Our relationship can't die this way. I can't let anxiety win. We're going to break up. We're done. The only breakup that's going to happen is I'm breaking up with anxiety. I was determined and hell-bent, and Yeah. So I call the airlines, and it's like, oh my God, it's going to be another $1,000. I'm like, oh my God, this is very expensive. And my heart sunk. I couldn't justify spending one ticket for me, what it cost for both of us to go, and then some. Was it worth it? I can't even begin to tell you what I was feeling. I just know I was distraught. I panicked in a different kind of panic. Not the panic I felt normally getting on a plane, but a panic, I've got to salvage this. I've got to fix this. I called a friend who will be on the show soon, who's also had some anxious moments and had fear of flying. And I said, this was an epic fail. He goes, get on the next plane. I called the captain of SOAR, S-O-A-R, and he said, get on another plane. And everybody's telling me to get on this plane, and I'm thinking, you guys don't get it. It's not, right now, it's not even about the fear, it's about the money. And it shouldn't put a price tag on this, but I had to teach, me and anxiety had to learn a lesson. But it couldn't be at the expense of our budget. But it couldn't be at your expense anymore either. You paid enough. You weren't doing anything wrong, So there was finding that balance of how are we going to get this lesson in here. So this was the longest 2 hours of my life, waiting for you to, land and call, and hopefully you called, and hopefully everything's going to be okay, and hopefully. And then you called. And it was A, a relief, and B, it was, okay, you have to keep going. You can't stop. As heartbreaking as this is, you had to keep going. If I could find a way to go, great, but I'm not, I gave my, anyway, go ahead, take it from me. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Well, when I got off the plane in Phoenix, of course I went from Southwest to Hawaiian Airlines, and the first thing I had in my mind, because I was changing airlines, was a matter of getting to the gate and getting, you know, at least get to the gate, know where I'm going, you know, going to be leaving from. So that was the first thing, and then, you know, had to go to a completely different terminal, that, you know, which took a little bit, but got there. Then I called you, and I could tell there that, you know, the emotions that you've been going through. I mean, they were very strong. I think we both had a hard time not crying.
No, I was no
Already
problem
got
crying.
there.
I think we broke through something there.
Yeah. Floodgates were going. So, but even there, if I remember right, you know, I felt like it was just a matter of, this was not going to end our relationship. It was just a matter of dealing with traveling different. And because it, you know, to me, it was just about traveling.
Okay, so let me ask, did you have any, and there's no judgments, so, and you know, we've already talked about all of this, so did you have any second thoughts about going?
About going to
Continuing
Hawaii?
on with your trip?
Not after talking with you. Because after talking with you, you know, you talked about possibly still getting a flight and meeting up with us. You were going to check that out. Of course, getting on the Hawaii flight, I wasn't going to find that out for another 6 hours.
Right.
So I wouldn't know what that part was going to happen. But I don't think I had any regrets in going on. And the biggest thing was, I mean, like I said, if it was a romantic getaway for us, I'd have turned around and came back. For the fact that this was, for me, kind of finding some roots and, you know, my family history and, you know, meeting family and cousins and all that kind of stuff. There was a secondary drive for me to go there.
Understood. And although it was an intense experience, I think it was the best decision you could have made. Best decision we made was to have you continue on. And there was a major learning experience in this, and it was one way to teach anxiety. Wait a minute, there's going to be a hefty price. Otherwise, if you would have got off the plane, anxiety would have won.
Right.
With that, we'll continue this whole thing on the next segment. And I do appreciate your honesty. I apologize for my emotional. This is by no means over. And we'll continue this the next segment. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time